Hi, I'm Jacob Stein, and I'm a partner in Allianz Los Angeles office, and I am the global chair of Allianz Private Client Practice. Allianz is an international law firm, and in our private client practice, we represent individuals and families with respect to estate planning, tax planning, asset protection planning, and moving assets around the world. We represent both middle-class families who are just trying to hold on to what they have, and some of the world's wealthiest individuals engaging in some highly sophisticated planning. I've been practicing for many years. I lecture a lot, I write a lot, and in these short reels, I would like to share some of that experience with you. An interesting topic that comes up very frequently in our practice is using trust protectors for irrevocable trusts. So what are these trust protectors and why do we use them? So if you look at an irrevocable trust, in an irrevocable trust, in a traditional irrevocable trust, you would take your assets, you would transfer the ownership of the assets to this irrevocable trust, and then you no longer have anything to do with these assets, right? That's a transfer that is cast in stone. It is not undoable, right? It cannot be changed. And for a lot of clients, it's a bit unnerving to engage in transfers like this, especially with a significant portion of their assets. So some 30 years ago, this concept of the trust protector was developed. Initially, the idea behind the trust protector was to create a position within the trust, an office that would protect the trust from the trustee. But that's why it's called trust protector, right? So the job of the trust protector was to kind of look over the shoulder of the trustee and to protect the trust and its assets from the trustee in favor of the beneficiaries, right? And this was applicable when we would set up trusts in some, remote offshore jurisdictions. We do not know who these trust companies are that we are using. We're not comfortable with them, right? So we want someone to have oversight over them. But over the past 30 years, and especially over the past 10 years, trust protectors have been used more and more to retain control over the assets of the trust. So how does that work? So if I'm setting up an irrevocable trust for my clients, and the purpose of the trust is either estate tax planning or income tax planning or asset protection planning, or maybe even anonymity type planning, we want to make sure that our client has no control over the trust and its assets. He cannot have any direct control. Really, the client transfers the ownership of the assets to the trust. There is a trustee that is appointed. Often the client's children are the beneficiaries of the trust, and the client usually has nothing more to do with the trust. But if the client has nothing more to do with the trust, he lost control. And that's very difficult for many clients to do. So we can empower the trust protector to retain control on behalf of our client. And the trust protector, and again, this is an office, a position we create within the trust in addition to the trustee, This is a position that is usually held and exercised in a non-fiduciary capacity. And the trust protector is often given the power to terminate the trust, to revoke the trust, to make changes to the trust agreement, to change the beneficiaries of the trust, change the trustee of the trust, change the governing law of the trust, maybe change the tax treatment of the trust, and more, less, any of these, whatever our client happens to need. So the trust protector has extensive control over the trust, right? At the very sort of high level, at a strategic level, much more power than the trustee, because the trust protector often, if not always, holds the power to remove and replace the trustee. But how do we assure that our client has control? Not the protector, but our client. Our client cannot act as the protector of his own trust. It has to be someone else. Usually it's a friend or a family member, somebody the client trusts. So our client will retain the power to fire the protector and hire a new protector, right? And that's a very, very important thing to consider, right? So who is going to be the protector? This has to be the person you trust the most, right? This becomes a much more important appointment than the trustee of the trust, because the protector is empowered with so many different powers and duties with respect to the trust. But you, as the settlor of the trust, will have the power to remove and replace the protector. I'm Jacob Stein, and please reach out to us if you have any questions on asset protection planning.